Welcome to this month's edition of Shrewsbury Senior Center News. I'm Matt LaBarre, and I'm with Stacey, Lavely, the volunteer coordinator from the Senior Center today. We want to talk about some of the things that are going on this month at the Senior Center. I'm using as a cheat sheet the most recent newsletter, and one of the things that just jumped out at me because I love them is the farmers market that's coming up in
starting
June
on
13th.
June 13th, and we're really excited. It's actually going to be right at the Senior Center on our parking lot, so it makes it a little bit easier than where it was previously for people to walk around and things like that. So we're really excited for that to come and get those healthy meals on the table.
That's great. I love farmers markets, and so I'm excited to check out the one at the Senior Center. So that's the first one is going to be on Wednesday?
Wednesday, June 13th, and they go from 2:30 to 6:30. And there's plenty of parking around the Senior Center as well as over by Town Hall and things like that. So
Great,
should be all
great,
set.
super. And then there's a lunch and learn that jumped out at me with Dr. C. Can you talk to me about that?
Sure. Dr. C is Dr. Claremont. He does these lunch and learns every single month. He does it usually it's the second Thursday of the month at 12 o'clock. Sometimes they do provide lunch, and other times we have lunch in the Village Cafe ahead of time. So people are welcome to partake in that and then come over for the discussion. And he has done everything from helping with wills to healthcare directives, proxies, things about Social Security and Shine and things like that. So every month it's a different topic, and it usually lasts about an hour to an hour and a half. They have him present. Sometimes he does have guests as well, and then there's a question and answer period afterwards. So people really seem to be enjoying that, and they gain a lot of knowledge from it.
It sounds like it's something that's topical for all of us. And
Absolutely, and sometimes they'll recommend different things to him that he'll try to find somebody who can cover that topic. So he's been doing it about a year now, I'd say, and really, really great response.
oh, great. So that's Thursday, June 14th
Yes.
at the Senior Center
At
at
12
12
o'clock.
Great. And as a former Red Cross chairman 100 years ago, the blood drive just jumped out at me, and that's June 21st. That's a Thursday from 2 to 7?
Yes. Usually most of our blood drives are on the third Thursday of the month, and they come in, they collect from 2 to 7 p.m. So people are welcome to come in. You don't need to sign up. Usually they have some kind of incentive to come in and help out. This time of year, especially in the summer, people really, really need to
yes, it is.
have the blood supply on hand and whatnot. So very, very important. And we're so lucky we've been doing this. I've been there almost 10 years at the Senior Center, and they've been doing it for years and years and years. And we're a really good place for them, and they're just wonderful to us. So we're very fortunate to have
that's
that
great.
collaboration.
And Thursdays are, summers are a very important time. It's
Absolutely.
Summers and right around the holidays are
Yes.
the two times that it's really difficult to get blood donations. And so if you've got some time, you go over there, you turn it into a little bit of a social event as well, and
Exactly.
that's great.
And they can stay, or you can come ahead of time again. We have the lunches available. We have different activities going on. We have a billiards table, things like that. So, feel
be
free
a
to
good
pop
way to-
in and do
a good way
something
to
fun
be
at the same
introduced.
time.
Yeah, be a good way to get an introduction to what else is available at the Senior Center. And
Absolutely.
And for families, it's a nice time to come. If you're, I think it's 18 you have to be to give blood, but you go and you see what is available there, and maybe somebody in your family is not going to activities there yet, but you see what's there and you get a chance to
Introduce
demonstrate
them.
to them, introduce them. Sure.
Absolutely.
And one other thing, there's a dementia support group. I know Walter Rice a little bit, and he runs that, and that's on Tuesday, June 19th. From 9:30 to 11?
Yeah, that's a monthly meeting, and I believe they come in the third Tuesday of the month for that. And it's a support group. It's run. Oh gosh, I wish Walter was here.
Well,
There
we're
is
gonna
an
have Walter
outside.
come in and talk
There is
about
an
that sometime,
outside
yeah.
agency that does come in and helps him facilitate that. And people, again, there's so much out there. The town has become so dementia friendly. We've had grants and things like that to help us in that process. So we're really trying to work through some different things. We're going to be doing a presentation later on in the year of Dementia Live, which gives you an idea of what it's like to have dementia and really, you know, understand some of those components. So it builds that compassion and it builds that ability to handle things in certain situations and what have you and help people. So yeah, it's a wonderful group though for the caregivers and things like that. And then, you know, as this comes along, we're going to be doing much more of that at the senior center and the town as a whole.
Yeah, we'll have Walter again. He was on our last episode of the program talking about grief. It was around the holidays, so
yeah.
we'll have him again. And then something else that we wanted to talk about is the CARES program, or the CARES column.
Yeah, the CARES column, we do have a gentleman, Dave Grillo, who does write the CARES column every month. He talks about all different kinds of things, like scams going on with seniors, different things that might come up, some flags to look for, you know, anything that's kind of going on that would possibly be consumer related.
Okay.
And also, we do have a connection with him that if you had something like, let's say you got a calendar or labels and you weren't really sure about the organization that was sending it to you, or you got a strange phone call and you weren't comfortable giving them money or your credit card over the phone, different things like that, we ask that you reach out to us and we can reach out to him. And then therefore, we're able to kind of triangulate that if it is something that's going on and we're seeing a pattern, we can, you know, bring the police in on it possibly and things like that,
Right.
because there are so many different things going on. And there's even been scammers who have come up to people's homes and said that, you know, they're there to pick
sure.
up something and what have you, a computer, a TV, things like that. So those are all things that, you know, he could help kind of guide us with and things like that. So on top of having that column, we do have a direct line to him. So that's
super.
really important.
That's a big help for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And then we did want to touch on some of the volunteer opportunities.
Yes. We are very, very desperately seeking people. Every time of the year, without our volunteers, there's no way that we could do what we do. We have anywhere from 250 to about 300 volunteers over the course of the year. People who do workshops, people who work at our meal site, preparing meals, getting them out, Meals on Wheels drivers, receptionists who take, you know, sign-ups over the phone, help, you know, get phone number, people on the phone to other people so that we can, you know, help them, whether it's Walter with an outreach problem or different things like that. So it's just such a really critical piece. Right now we really, really need receptionists, both fill-in and permanent. We're really looking for Meals on Wheels drivers. We have probably close to 150 meals that we do on an ongoing basis. And we're also looking to start new classes, new workshops, things like that at the Senior Center. So if you have a hobby, a talent, a craft, if you've gone on exciting adventure, something like that that you'd like to present, we'd love to hear from you and have you. My direct line is 508-841-8758. Again, that's 508-841-8758. Feel free to give me a call, and I'd love to hear from you, whether it's for a volunteer opportunity or to start your own class. So
Great. And speaking of adventures, we have a growing group of volunteers who help produce programming here at the station, and both the Shrewsbury Senior Center News and other programs, and love to add more people to our social and vocational training groups. So please get in touch with Shrewsbury Media Connections if you're interested in that. We have some special reports that are going to follow this, and appreciate your coming and talking about what's going on at the Senior Center, and we'll be right back. I'm here today with Andrea Casinetti. Andrea runs a realty company in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, but today I wanted to talk about the Kindness Coalition. Andrea has created this terrific nonprofit organization called the Kindness Coalition.
Yep.
What do you do? When did you get this in your head to put together? How did you do this?
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me on.
Thank
So the Kindness Coalition was formed about 3 months ago. So pretty much my whole life I do a lot of charity work. I've done it obviously on a smaller scale. And now we just started to get larger and larger. And a great friend of mine reached out and she said, listen, you really need to become a nonprofit and you can do these events, you know, on a much larger scale and, you know, bring more people in. So we figured out the name Kindness Coalition, luckily to some of our awesome followers. We started 3 months ago and we've been growing ever since. The way it started is pretty easy. So it was last winter, I saw a homeless man on the street, sweatshirt on, all of his stuff in like a Stop and Shop bag. And I just said to myself that there has to be something we can do. I cannot end homelessness overnight, but there has to be some type of Band-Aid that we can do for these people that are out in, below zero weather. So I had put it out on Facebook and I said, I want to fill, 50 backpacks. I thought that was dramatic, but I said, I want to fill 50 backpacks. Who wants to help? So literally in like 2 days, I had 100 people that said, I want to help. What do I do? So I was like, all right, wow, there's a lot of people that actually, want to get involved. So we gave ourselves I think it was 2.5 week deadline. I said for the next 2.5 weeks, we're going to collect as many supplies as we can. I thought we'd fill maybe like 10 or 15 backpacks, throw them in my trunk, and just hand them out to the homeless as we go along. I was donated some space at a church in West Boylston from a friend of mine, Heidi. We had no idea how many people were going to come. All of a sudden, 3 hours early, people started showing up. After the first hour, we had an entire church hall filled with thousands upon thousands of supplies. And I mean, we probably had 300 people come out. We had Congressman McGovern come out and some people from the task force in Worcester that have been helping. And everything went to Net of Compassion. Do you know Richard Gonzalez?
I believe I do.
Oh, he's great. So he dedicates himself to, end homelessness, helping homeless, feeds them every Saturday. He runs Hotel Grace, which is like the overflow shelter. So I said, Richard, I want to donate everything to you. So we ended up filling, I believe, 160 backpacks. We had a box truck filled with so many supplies you couldn't even imagine. And then we had more people saying, when's the next? So, I said, all right, let me calm down from this one. And then a client of mine, I'm a realtor, as you know, she told me she works for DCF, and she basically said, how awful it is that these kids, when they're pulled out of a house, have to throw all their stuff, a few belongings in a trash bag and get brought to another house. So of course I said, oh my God, like how? I was so naive to it. I just, I'm not in that world. So that was where the next backpack drive came. So I set a new goal. I said, I want to fill 250 backpacks. Again, never thinking we would even come close to it. The amount of people that came out to support these kids at DCF was absolutely mind-blowing. We have our own private Facebook group that grew to about 1,000 plus people already.
Sure.
We actually went to Hagen's Armory, and we had the Great Hall. So that place was massive, and I said to myself, oh my God, I hope we can actually fill this. The day came, we ended up filling over 500 backpacks. We had people, we helped 4 DCF offices that, fill their, with their supplies. And again, we filled about a little more than 500 backpacks and have, again, awesome. More volunteers saying, when's the next one? So that's pretty much going to be for our signature drives for the Kindness Coalition. We're always going to do, we have our calendar of events, but the main backpack drives will be for the homeless and for DCF. But we are going to do one animal-related event, for adoptions and get them out of the shelters and clear the shelters. Our next event is going to be over the summer, and it's called Fill the Shelves. So that's going to be for local schools that are in need. So basically, we want to fill all these classrooms with much-needed school supplies, cleaning products, and snacks for kids that are trying to start the school year and they don't have what they need to start the year.
That's great.
So that's the next.
That's one of the things that I just love about what you're doing. You're filling niches that no other organization really kind of fills.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not really their mission. And they try to, other organizations, they try to do this as a little piece of what they're doing, but you're doing things that really nobody else is
That's kind
doing.
of my idea. I try to be a little unique. And, there's so many awesome nonprofits out there geared towards one thing.
Right.
With the Kindness Coalition, we have a broad umbrella as far as who we're going to help. So, I get messages daily from, single moms that are having trouble putting food on the table, for their kids, fire victims that lost everything, in fires. And, I'm just the mouth, behind the Kindness Coalition. But honestly, the people that I have that volunteer here, they thank me on a daily basis for letting, having me, allow them into the group. And, I cannot thank these people enough for everything that they do day in and day out. They are amazing, amazing people. And
but that's great. But it takes an organizer.
Yeah,
and that's what you are. I've always
people that know
known
me,
you are
I'm
an
not
organizer.
that organized, but I do have a big mouth that can, rally some people.
I wouldn't put it that way. You're a great organizer, and you have a great heart. So
Thanks.
Thank you for coming and sharing what the Kindness Coalition is doing, and we'll be back soon. Hi, we're here with Dr. Kristal Meyers at Putnam Veterinary, and we're going to talk about something that I've been dying to talk about ever since I heard about it, and that's chiropractic care for dogs, and you help cats and horses as well, is that?
Well, I trained with horses, but I don't
No
personally
current
do
clients,
any
no current clients.
horses. But yes, cats and dogs for sure.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this for 3 years.
Oh, great. Great. I've been, having gone with chiropractic care for myself in the past, I've been dying to see this.
Yes.
And this is?
This is Jebby. Jebby is at least 14 years old, and he is a regular for chiropractic with me.
Okay. And what are the benefits for dogs and cats?
So the benefit of chiropractic is to help the nervous system communicate to the rest of the body. So it can help organ dysfunction, it can help pain, it can help mobility. So there are a number of different things that you can treat with chiropractic.
Okay, great. Well, I think the most interesting thing is to see it.
Okay.
So we'll get off of here and let you actually treat Jebby.
All right, so I'm just going to explain a little bit what I'm going to do, because once I start, you're not going to really be able to see what's going on. So animal chiropractic, or some people call it veterinary spinal manipulation, is a manual method of therapy that is focusing on maintaining a healthy neuromusculoskeletal system. So your body is able to function at its highest potential when the brain and nervous system can communicate with the muscles and the organs. So the goal of chiropractic therapy is that I'm going to optimize the mobility of the spine and the function of the nervous system so that it can effectively communicate to the rest of the body. So what happens when you have movement in your spine is your spine is composed of these little bones called vertebra, and it also has muscles and ligaments and nerves. But when a vertebra is able to move, it moves in a number of different ways. So it can move up and down or side to side, for example. When they're not moving correctly, you can get dysfunction. And so that will limit the communication from the nervous system to the rest of the body. And that particular lack of movement or dysfunction of movement is called a vertebral subluxation complex, and that's what we're looking for when we're moving along the body. So as I go to adjust him, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan his legs, his back, his neck, and the front legs, and I'm going to look for a lack of mobility or motion in his vertebra and his legs. When I find that lack of mobility, I'm going to just place a specific thrust, depending upon where I am in the body, onto that particular vertebra or leg, and that should improve the mobility of the spine or the leg, and therefore allow effective communication from the little tiny nerves of the spine to the rest of the body. All right. So, Jebby, I'm just going to move you a little bit back because you look like you're going to leap. So normally when I do an evaluation, the first evaluation, I get a good history. I feel the dog. I see what's happened with them in the past. I know Jebby well. Jebby has a history of tearing both of his cruciate ligaments when he was younger. He did have surgery, but he has arthritis throughout his back, legs, his hips, and he has some chronic intermittent pain in his back and his neck. So when I first meet a client, I will ask you a detailed history, what kind of meds, what kind of lifestyle does your dog have? Is it just a couch potato, or is it a working dog or an agility dog, an athlete? Those kind of things are important to me because I need to know how your dog is likely out of alignment, but also how to help them. And then I'll review things like x-rays and lab work. So what I'm going to do is start by motioning each one of his joints, and there's a lot of back and forth because I do a lot of comparison. So I get more motion in this side of his pelvis than this side, and then I'm going to correct. Good boy. I know. And when he licks like that, that's actually a really good sign. So that is nice to see. Good. Just check one more time. Check his pelvis. Moving much better. Now I go up to the lumbars. And I start by checking side to side motion in the lumbar vertebra. Make sure that they're moving correctly from side to side. then I'm going to check up and down. Oh, just ouchie. So it can be a little bit uncomfortable. Typically, I feel that most dogs may be sore that day, but if any soreness lasts longer than 2 days, I want to know about it because they really shouldn't be sore for longer than 2 days. I try not to let them do a lot of activity right after because you really are changing the way the nervous system is communicating with the rest of the body. So for 12 to 24 hours after an adjustment, I say let's rest, let's not do a regular full day of work, but then they can go back to normal activity after that.
Tell them what we're here for.
I don't know.
You know. We're here to pick up Lou's paw print.
He's very restricted in motion along his thoracic vertebra. I'm sorry, honey. I know. Check side to side. Good boy. You're a good kid. I know. Good boy.
Now, does it take a while for a dog or a cat to get used to you doing this with them?
I kind of think it depends on the animal's personality. For the most part, I think that after a couple adjustments, even the most nervous dogs tend to realize, oh, I think they're helping, and they quiet down.
Okay.
But Jeffy's always been a star. He doesn't mind at all. I'm gonna just do a little bit of traction on his spinal cord, which is really good to help the nerves. And then adjust his tail, which even has bones in it. No, no, no. No, good boy. Nope, you're not leaving. Good kid. I know. Oh, because I'm out of here. Come here,
Well, I
Jeffy.
think he's done very well. I think he's done very well.
So after I do the neck and the ribs, then I'll go ahead and adjust his legs. And most dogs, I try to get them to lie down for that, and he's usually very cooperative for that.
Well, he's got a crew here.
Right. But I do have some dogs that won't lie down, and I'll adjust their legs standing. What I do is typically the very first adjustment, I'll recheck the dog 2 to 3 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
And then depending upon how they did, I can push out the time frame.
Oh, okay.
So, for example, some dogs I see every 4 weeks, some dogs I see every 12. It kind of depends again on what's going on with them, the age of the dog, what they need to do as far as work. And one of the huge goals, again, of chiropractic is to get that mobility and communication, but here he comes through the other door. But the nervous system is responsible for the innate ability for the body to heal. So you're really, really trying to improve the communication so that you can heal on your own.
Sure.
So you're giving the dog that ability when you get better communication.
He just wants all of us to pay attention
He's
to him.
like, I'm done.
It's like, okay, this was good. Now everybody say hello. And hey, Jebby, come here. Yeah.
He doesn't want to.
No, I just want attention. I'm all done with my treatment for today. I just want my attention now. Well, that's great. This was fascinating. I had to see it in action. I think our viewers will be really interested
Great,
to see how it is.
great.
And if they want to get in touch with you to have this done, they call
Putnam Veterinary Clinic. Yeah.
Great, right
Yeah.
here in Shrewsbury.
Right.
Thank you very much. It was nice
Thank
meeting
you.
you. We'll
Thank
catch
you.
up with you later.